Hello and welcome to Drive to Run. Today's video goes over the differences between the various trims of the 2022 Toyota Camry and which ones I recommend you consider. I'll be upfront in saying that this video is going to be longer than usual because Toyota has made things unnecessarily complicated with the Camry's trim levels. I think I've got everything correct here, but I apologize in advance if I do have something mixed up. Before we dive into the specifics, a quick ask for you to subscribe. Channels have to hit 1,000 subscribers before YouTube will start paying out any ad revenue, so I'd appreciate any help you can throw my way. All right, with that said, some high-level pricing information. As you can see, there are a lot of trim and powertrain combinations, 18 in fact. The 2022 Camry starts at $26,320 for a base LE front-wheel drive model, all the way up to $36,745 for an XSE V6 front-wheel drive. All of those prices include the mandatory $1,025 destination charge. I do want to call out the fact that with only a $10,000 spread from the base to most expensive trim, Toyota has 18 different trim powertrain combinations mixed in. There's no need for this degree of segmentation within a relatively small price span. As always, my analysis assumes you're paying MSRP, so if your local dealer is charging markups on particular trim powertrain combinations, you may need to reconsider which one gives you the most value for money, or better yet, expand your search and find a dealer that isn't charging the markup. To cover powertrain combinations, there are 4 of them: an inline 4-cylinder front-wheel drive, an inline 4-cylinder all-wheel drive, a hybrid front-wheel drive, and a V6 front-wheel drive. The hybrids come with a CVT transmission versus an 8-speed automatic for all the others. I've included some horsepower and torque numbers on the screen, along with their general fuel economy figures. I say general fuel economy because even with the same powertrain, the fuel economy per the EPA differs between some of the Camry's trims. For example, the LE hybrid is rated at 52 mpg combined versus 46 mpg combined for all the other hybrids. That's the biggest difference I could identify. The others may be 1 or 2 mpg here or there. For example, on the V6, the XLE is rated at 33 mpg on the highway versus the TRD's 31 mpg on the highway. All-wheel drive is a $1,400 option across all trim levels, except the TRD, which only comes in V6 front-wheel drive form. Adding all-wheel drive does decrease your fuel economy by about 10%. The hybrid is a $2,100 or $2,200 upcharge from its non-hybrid trim mates, which, based on the improved fuel economy is of 50 to 60%, an average driver will likely break even through gas savings after about 3.5 years. The hybrids generally come with the same standard features as their gas-only counterparts, with a few exceptions, which I'll call out later. However, you cannot get a panoramic roof with a hybrid. If you want a panoramic roof, you'll have to look at the gas-only powertrain models. First, starting with the LE, I'll explain when I cover the SE's features, but to cut to the chase, I would skip the LE in almost all scenarios. There are 2 reasons I'd pick an LE. First, if you only want a cloth interior, the LE is the only Camry trim that offers that. Second, if you're purely focused on gas mileage, the LE hybrid gets the best gas mileage of the entire Camry lineup by far. And it's the trim with the lowest price premium to get the hybrid at just $2,085. Surprisingly, the 52 mpg combined figure for the Camry LE hybrid actually matches the mpg of the Corolla hybrid and non-eco trim Priuses. Feature changes of note when you move from the LE to the LE hybrid is you get smart key access standard, full speed radar cruise control, and an electronic parking brake. Unfortunately, it comes with 16-inch steel wheels rather than the 17-inch alloys that come standard on the gas LE. Now, to call out Toyota on a few things, blind spot monitoring is optional on the LE for $680. That's becoming a standard feature on most vehicles. Also, rear seat vents are optional on the LE, and the only way to get them is to select one of 2 packages that come with upgraded audio which cost at least $3,140. Note that the online configurator doesn't call that out as one of the features included in those packages, but if you select them, you'll see within the interior rendering of your build, the air vents appear in the back of the center console. Finally, and this will be my last general Toyota rant before moving on to the next trim, Toyota does make their configurator unnecessarily complicated and convoluted. Here's a screenshot from their configurator. You'll notice that they list 8 packages for the LE. However, they really aren't packages. They're just different combinations of individual options, and you don't get a discount by buying more options bundled together. I'm guessing they do this to partially obfuscate how much they're charging for individual options, and also because some options are prerequisites to get others. If you do the math, you can back into what each individual option costs, which I've done for this trim to give you an idea, but I won't do it for the others. On the LE, blind spot monitoring costs $680. The convenience package, which includes smart key access on non-hybrids, an integrated HomeLink garage door opener, and an auto-dimming rearview mirror, costs $600. The cold weather package with heated seats, heated outside mirrors, and a heated steering wheel costs $610. A standard moonroof costs $870, and the upgraded audio system costs $990. Personally, for me, on the LE, the only option I'd get is blind spot monitoring, and then maybe the cold weather package if I live somewhere that warranted it, or really just because I kind of have a bad back. Moving to the SE trim level, I think this is the sweet spot in the Camry lineup. For $1,540 more than the LE, you get sport soft tech seats, a leather wrapped steering wheel, upgraded rims, a sport-tuned suspension, paddle shifters, and a few other styling tweaks. All of that for $1,540 is a pretty good value to me. Now, similar to the LE, you have to option to get blind spot monitoring, but in the SE, it only costs $600 versus $680 in the LE. Also, the cold weather package is effectively only $500 versus $610 in the LE. So for me, I do the SE with the cold weather blind spot monitoring combination and be done. I'd still curse the fact that rear seat vents require a $3,000 plus option package, but I just can't justify spending that much money to get that feature. Speaking briefly to the SE hybrid, similar to the LE hybrid, it comes standard with smart key access, full speed radar cruise control, and an electronic parking brake, which isn't the case for the gas only SE. Now, there is an SE Nightshade Edition for $700 more. It's basically a blacked out trim package on top of the SE. If you like the look, go for it. However, by doing so, you give up the possibility of a lot of options. You're restricted to having a black interior, one of only 3 exterior colors, black, white, or silver, and you can't option a sunroof, heated seats, upgraded audio, rear seat vents. The only option package you can choose is one that gets you blind spot monitoring, smart key access, a HomeLink integrated garage door opener, and an auto-dimming rear view mirror for $1,200. I generally wouldn't recommend the SE Nightshade Edition because it narrows your options so significantly. If you need to, buy a regular SE with the options you want, then turn to the aftermarket to black out the trim and/or rims if you feel the need. Next, I'm going to talk about the XLE, but really the XLE and XSE are pretty close together in terms of the features they come with. Also, I'm going to cover the V6 versions of these trims separately because they come with different standard features than the inline 4 and hybrid versions of these trims. So for the XLE, it costs $3,210 more than the SE. For that, the standard features you get are blind spot monitoring, rear seat vents, heated leather seats, smart key access, wireless phone charging, and a 9-inch center touchscreen. Even though those options are all offered on the SE, you can't option it with these specific combinations of features because getting the moonroof would also be required on the SE. However, by backing into the cost of the options on the SE, equipping a hypothetical SE to equate to an XLE would result in the XLE costing only $670 more. Now, you wouldn't get the sport tune suspension in the XLE, but as we'll cover in a minute, given the price differential from the XLE to the XSE and all the features the XSE comes with, that sport tune suspension probably doesn't cost Toyota all that much. So what this all really means is that you're paying $670 more for a proper leather interior, and you can get additional options that aren't possible on the SE, like a panoramic glass roof, a heads-up display, ventilated front seats, and a bird's eye camera. However, similar to the LE versus SE trim discussion earlier, I think the value you get for the XSE is superior to the XLE, so I'd probably skip the XLE. Now that we've talked about it so much, moving to the XSE, there's only a $550 upcharge compared to the XLE. For that $550, you get a sport tune suspension, paddle shifters, 19-inch rims, quad chrome exhaust tips, additional black trim, and the option of two-tone paint. All of that for only $550 is a really good deal, so that's probably where I'd lean. You pretty much have the same option packages available on the XSE and XLE, like a panoramic roof, ventilated front seats, etc. So there's really not much of a downside to choosing the XSE. Before continuing to the V6 models, one weird caveat to make you aware of: getting a heated steering wheel can be a bit of a challenge in the XLE and XSE for some reason. Assuming Toyota's online configurator is correct, only in the XLE 4-cylinder gas models can you option a heated steering wheel with pretty much any combination of the other options offered. For the XLE hybrid, XLE V6, and all the XSE models, you can't get a heated steering wheel if you choose to get upgraded audio. Why? I have no idea. This could be a case of the online configurator just being wrong or not being fully comprehensive about everything a package comes with, but I can't know for sure, so it's something to be wary of. Now, to speak to the V6 versions of the XLE and XSE, it costs a pretty significant $5,125 to step up to the V6 from each of their respective 4-cylinder counterparts. However, that's somewhat artificially inflated because the V6 models come standard with features that are optional on the 4-cylinder versions. Those standard features include a panoramic roof, heads-up display, and 9-speaker JBL audio. Again, doing some differential math within Toyota's configurator, those options have an MSRP value of $2,670. That would mean that the V6 is actually an approximate $2,500 upcharge. In my mind, it's totally a personal preference based on test driving or your use case as to whether the V6 is worth that money. However, if you're getting the V6, my assumption would be that's because you're somewhat of an enthusiast, in which case going with the XSE's upgraded suspension, paddle shifters, etc. would make more sense than an XLE V6. Finally, touching on the TRD V6, this one is a bit hard to pin down value-wise because it offers a feature set that's a mix of the SE and XSE while also taking away some features. Ultimately, it starts at $33,385, so it's by far the cheapest way to a V6 if that's what you're looking for. It also comes with a unique track tune suspension along with various other styling changes. Now, the things you lose by selecting the TRD V6 are you only get a single zone climate control. The rear seats will no longer fold down to accommodate more cargo. There's no center armrest within the rear seats. You also can't option rear seat vents or heated or ventilated front seats. You can get two-tone paint, but you are limited to a black-only interior, and your only option is whether to upgrade to JBL audio. I think the value is decent when you consider it slots between the SE and XSE. And in reality, I doubt the people selecting the TRD V6 trim are really considering any of the other trims in the Camry lineup. So, in summary, of the 18 trim powertrain combinations offered in the 2022 Camry, here's where I've settled. The LE is out unless you must have cloth seats or are trying to maximize your MPG with the LE hybrid. I think the SE trim level is going to be the sweet spot for a vast majority of use cases. Just be sure to add blind spot monitoring and potentially the cold weather package if that's important to you. There's no real reason to consider the SE Nightshade Edition unless you love a blacked out look and don't want to add many options. I generally skip the XLE in favor of the XSE given all that you get for the nominal $550 upcharge. Certainly, some may prefer the less racy look and feel of the XLE, and if you're one of those people, great. But the XSE does deliver on the value front. I'd only step up from the SE to the XSE if I felt the need to include one of the XSE exclusive options, like a panoramic roof or ventilated front seats. Whether to go with the V6 or not is totally up to you, but know that you are forced to get some options as a result, which is why the price differential is so significant. Finally, for the TRD V6, if you want it, go ahead and get it. Since I'm not a test drive channel, I can't opine on whether it makes sense or not, but I will throw out one alternate choice to consider, and that's the 2022 Kia K5 GT. It's pretty similar in price and specs overall, so it may be worth a look. All right, that's it. If you found this video useful, please subscribe. And as always, feel free to leave comments or ask any questions below. Thanks for watching.